Hey friends, thank you for returning to our Mystery Recaps channel. Today, I will show you the 2020 horror film, Anything for Jackson. There are spoilers ahead. Watch out and be cautious. An elderly couple is seen conversing casually in their home. They wonder if a woman has already arrived. Then, upon hearing her outside, they pursue her. They are suddenly observed dragging a woman into the house. The woman is in a relationship, and a child's hand is touching her face. She awakens in a panic when she discovers a child next to her, greeting her. The wife announces her awakening, and when her husband arrives, she introduces herself as Audrey and him as Henry. She tells Shannon that they believed this was the best way for her to disappear. Audrey states that they will not harm her or her unborn child, and then sends Henry to perform the test. As the woman begins screaming inside the house, he is outside and calls his wife to inform her that nothing can be heard outside. Shannon inquires as to what they require of her, and Audrey informs her that they must return their grandson. When she inquires whether the boy present is the grandson, because he is deceased, the elderly woman is surprised that she can see him. Audrey plays music in the room and states that Jackson loves music before being left alone with him. Audrey informs Henry that Jackson introduced himself to the woman, which fills him with joy. On his way out the door to work, he runs into Rory. Audrey returns to the room, bringing vitamins for the woman and rummaging through her belongings, removing her phone and pills from her pocket. When she leaves the room for a moment to retrieve her glasses, the woman grabs the phone, but is immediately stopped by Audrey's return. She unlocks her phone and accesses her social media accounts, where she sends a message to a man asking him to meet her later that day. Audrey calls Henry at work to inform him that it has been completed at his office. His assistant inquired about Shannon, his patient, and whether she will arrive soon. Considering that her due date is approaching, he escapes the situation through his own actions. In a flashback, the elderly couple is seen preparing to resurrect a raven using an ancient book. Audrey recites an incantation, and the raven returns. Henry disapproves of her actions, but she explains that she only needs proof if the book is authentic. In the present, they attempt to maintain appearances by walking to a community center where they meet Ian. Audrey is disappointed to hear that he could not locate the book they already possess. Possibly he'll tell someone about it. As they enter a Satanist gathering, everyone dons robes and lights black candles. The principal priest, who begins the prayer, will say, in a second flashback, Henry is Shannon's doctor and informs her that she is pregnant. He is attempting to calm her, despite the fact that she does not even know the father's name. In addition, he texts his wife that he has found the right person and takes a picture of Shannon for her. The same image is displayed on the wall of her sleeping room. She awakens with a bloody cough to find the couple preparing the room for a Satanist ceremony. They are already praying and inviting Satan into their home, so she begs them not to go through with it. They both offer their blood by cutting their hands and pouring it onto a heart. When Shannon begins to convulse, they pray in Latin as everything in the room comes to life, and they eventually see Jackson enter the room. He indicates the woman as Audrey continues to read, and then he vanishes. Henry wakes up the next morning with Audrey next to him. As he continues to converse with her, he looks over to the restroom and sees a woman flossing her teeth, mistaking her for Audrey. Upon receiving a call from his wife, he realizes that the woman in the bathroom is not Audrey. She constantly flosses her teeth, and they continue to fall to the ground. She turns and approaches Henry. Later, while he is working in his office, a police officer visits him. Shannon, according to Detective Bellows, is a missing person who is currently retracing her steps. Henry lies that she cancelled her appointment, but his assistant reminds him of the previous lie he told her, which was that he saw her walking past his house on the day she disappeared. The detective is not duped by his antics. He calls Audrey and informs her of the situation, but she takes his decision to alter the plan seriously. She goes to answer the door after hearing a knock on it. A ghost is trick, or treating on the opposite side. Audrey shoos away the ghost and shuts the door. However, there is another knock. When she opens the back door, the ghost is also present. As soon as she closes that door, the ghost knocks on a second door within the house. As she ascends the stairs to call Henry, she hears commotion in the house. When she looks down, she sees the ghost. She finally reaches Henry on the telephone and informs him of the situation. When he instructs her to give her soul to the ghost, she pursues the ghost to the lift. However, it emerges from there as a gigantic version of itself. Later, Shannon asks Audrey why she was screaming earlier, to which she responds that her daughter had visited her. She avoids the question about her daughter's whereabouts. Shannon is left alone in the room and attempts to flee immediately. However, upon reaching for one of her restraints, she discovers a man suffocating next to her bed. As she screams for Audrey, he stands up, walks around the room, then returns to her, crawling on top of her and biting her pregnant belly. She is at the door, but cannot open it. When she does, the suffocating ghost dashes towards her. Henry suddenly appears and stops the ghostly manifestation. Henry informs Shannon that he has stitched her up and that she will be fine as the couple prepares for bed. Audrey is unsure of what they did and questions whether they made a mistake. Henry meets Shannon outside of his home in a flashback. She is thrilled to be a mother, not afraid anymore. Rory returns to the present and Henry goes to meet him, while Audrey plans to sedate Shannon. Two men converse outside, but one of them insists on cleaning his driveway. As Audrey and Henry argue inside, he starts the machine in front of the home. She fears that the ritual was performed improperly. Jackson is not present. Rory calls out to them from the front yard, informing them that they did it correctly and that Jackson is returning to them, before placing his head inside the machine. Audrey later enters the room to clean up Shannon. She removes the restraints and covers the handcuffs with a blanket. Shannon asks if they'll kill her after they get the baby, but Audrey informs her that their rule is to not harm her while they converse. When the door to the room opens, Audrey tells her that she resembles her daughter. She was in the same accident as Jackson, but she did not immediately realize it. She committed suicide in the elevator of her home. The phone rings while Henry is burying Rory in the woods. The detective is following up with him and requesting a meeting. He attempts to elicit information from her, but she avoids his inquiries. She tells him she will be at his residence in 1 hour. Back in the room, Shannon begs Audrey to allow her to be Jackson's co-parent and care for him after his parents die. She states that she will do whatever they desire. A knock is heard at the door. So Audrey again gags her and locks the door before leaving. However, the door unlocks itself. Henry dashes home, but the detective is already there. Inside Shannon's room, she is waiting for him, with Audrey handcuffed next to her. She instructs him to kneel down as Shannon is pleading for her to release her. However, the detective turns to her and calmly executes her. Suddenly, the detective's ghost enters and kills herself all over again. Ian is reading the book in his basement when his mother calls him for lunch. Angry, he gathers his belongings and leaves. Then he arrives at the residence, and the detective appears behind him as he enters the bedroom. The others are no longer surprised, stating that she has been acting this way all night. Ian begins immediately by instructing the couple on what to read. The detective re-enters the room. Ian continues with the instructions as the detective reappears, but this time she does not shoot herself. Henry and he go outside, and he determines where certain objects should be placed throughout the house by measuring. He informs Henry that he is the only one who can kill the mother without hesitation. If he hesitates, they will all perish. Audrey is drawing a pentagram in the room as Shannon attempts to distract her. Audrey goes out to obtain food after she requests it. Shannon escapes her restraints and pours water on herself while pretending to give birth. Audrey enters the room and calls Henry. She is preparing Shannon as the two men enter. Ian disturbs the salt as he enters the building. Audrey is concerned that Jackson may be inside, and Henry continues to receive messages from the cult's high priestess. The pentagram begins to shine, and Ian exclaims, "It's working!" Henry picks up the phone, and the priest informs Ian that he murdered his mother and drew symbols on his residence. He informs Audrey that something is wrong with Ian, but instructs her to continue on. Shannon breaks free of her restraints and seizes Audrey, threatening to slit her throat if Henry does not release her legs. Audrey and Ian both tell him not to do it, but Henry does it anyway. Ian then murders Audrey, stating that a mother is a mother is a mother, while Shannon struggles to escape her restraints. He splatters Henry with blood and continues the ceremony. Audrey passes away in Henry's arms. In the other room, he can be heard screaming. As Shannon attempts to exit, the suffocating ghost suddenly appears behind her and moves towards her. Henry instructs her to leave and forgives them. At that moment, something begins to emerge from Audrey's body, frightening the other ghost. Henry experiences the same fate, and Shannon flees. She flees after spotting the giggling ghost. When Shannon discovers the keys, she is in the kitchen. However, the detective suddenly appears and says she will protect her. The creature departs the bedroom. Shannon exits the house and sees Rory standing outside, but she walks past him. She looks up and sees Jackson being taken away through the window in the next instant. Shannon departs by car. As she drives through the forest, however, she notices something on the road. On a second look, she notices that the woman is pregnant. She looks down and discovers blood on her stomach. Be sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you can view similar videos. Thank you for viewing.